Good evening, one and all, and welcome to episode 271 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you, as always, live from YouTube. The second of two episodes that the second episode that I've done today in what we're sort of calling the resumption of Love at First Scent after a break of a month. We're kind of easing ourselves back into Love at First Scent today, and I'm absolutely planning to do some more videos certainly before the end of Sunday. I have a feeling it's going to be Saturday tomorrow, probably around about the same time, but it may well be Sunday. Sorry to be vague, but it's always difficult to find a time when the stars align and I can do the video. But anyway, most of you watch the recording, so this doesn't mean a great deal to you. But I know that a lot of you like to tune in live as well, which I very much appreciate. The first comment for this one went to Rich, who says, "Yo, back to you. What are some other people saying? Oh, Keith is not very well. I'm at home getting over COVID, so I'm able to catch these live videos today. Well, I hope you are actually getting better, but sorry to hear that you've been poorly." Nick 1447 says hello from Montreal. Yura says hello, everyone. Joanna, David Ramsey, Margie, Peroli, Keith, and Rich, you're all very, very welcome. And Eric says, I can't wait to try these, especially the cauliflower one, which brings us to this. Okay. Now, I think we may be spending a fair amount of time on these because I want to smell all five of them with you. I've just had a very, very quick spray of one of them just a few days ago, and that's when I thought, no, let's do this as a live. Let's do a proper Love at First Scent and see what we think of them, what the first impressions of these are going to be, which may be a little bit unfair because I think the idea behind these scents is that they're trying to be quite edgy and innovative. Anyway, let's backtrack. What are we talking about? These are 5 new releases from L'Artisan Parfumeur, generally considered to be the first proper niche independent perfume brand. Some people would say diptyque, but we can have that debate another time. And they all come under they're all in a particular collection called Le Potager, and their common theme, the thread behind them, is that they're all meant to be vegetal, or they're all meant to be they're all meant to contain a particular vegetable note. In fact, one of them, according to the brand and the perfumer, marks the first instance of a perfume containing a natural vegetable extract. So they could be quite interesting. They should be interesting. I personally am always interested in anything that L'Artisan Parfumeur release. I think in the last few years they've had, shall we say, their fair share of so-so releases and thumbs-up releases. But as a brand, I think that absolutely they remain an important brand. They've given us some of the best perfumes of the last 40 years, easily some of the best perfumes of this particular century, which is a long way of saying that, if something new from them is coming out, I still sit up and listen. I sit up and smell. I couldn't get very much information about this range from the brand itself. They've been uncharacteristically reticent. So the only information that I'm going to be able to share with you today is what is already out there in the public domain. I got the samples myself. Not that that has any bearing on what I'm going to say about them, but the point that I'm making is that I don't have the official press release, so I don't know a lot of the background to the creation of the scents, which may not be a bad thing necessarily. What I do know is that 4 of them were made by Quentin and Tonka Blanc, the one that contains this all-natural vegetable extract, was made by Alexandra Carla. So if we are going to smell all of them, I think we should start. April Spritz says, I hope these don't turn out to be Joe Malone-like. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Rachel says, reminds me of a pretty cottage in the countryside like the Cotswolds. And you've smelt one of them, I guess, because you're talking about the pea note in one of them. Claire in Manchester joining the session. You're very welcome, Claire. Bonjour from Paris, says Chang. The tomato leaf one reminded me of Synthetic Jungle. Ah, interesting. Gavin says, have you got Fragments by Neela Vermeer to try sometime? Yeah, that's a new range within the Neela Vermeer line, isn't it? Hi, Persolaise, says Kristen A. What a coincidence. Today I'm wearing Rose Privée by L'Artisan Parfumeur, unfortunately discontinued favourite of mine. I look forward to the new releases. And David Santiago says, Quentin Biche seems to be milking his Delina throughout all the other houses he's collaborating with. Interesting, interesting. Okay, let's start. Each one's got a note, an ingredient name checked in the name, but it's also got a color. When I found out that one of them was called Iris de Gris, I thought, ooh, you're being a little bit brave there. Shall we start with the one that sounds as though it might be the lightest? So this is Cedrat Ceruse. My French is, and we just get a little blurb at the back that says a fennel with facets of green aniseed sparked by a dash of pink peppercorns. Spark. Anyway, let's smell. We're going to try and do all 5, okay? So bear with me. And this really is going to have to be a whistle-stop tour to see which of the ones I might actually think is intriguing. And sorry, the point that I was trying to make at the beginning and I got sidetracked was, because these are trying to be edgy and innovative and different, doing them in this way may not do them full justice. So I will definitely go back to them and give them some skin time. But hey, this is love at first scent, right? So this is the first impressions format of Persolaise. Right, let's see. So this is meant to be what? What did it say? Fennel and presumably the citrus. Aniseed sparked by a dash of pink peppercorns. Okay, let us see. Pop it back there. Oh, gosh. Holly says, I've always found L'Artisan to be slightly unapproachable and monolithic. Hopefully this will be my gateway into the brand. But that's a shame. I mean, you shouldn't feel like that about them at all, because they have got some. I always found them quite sort of accessible and quirky. Don't feel that way. Seriously, don't feel that way. Anyway. Yura says, I'm watching you while working out. This is an extreme mental and physical exercise. I recommend it. I think I don't. Please be safe. What are you doing? Okay, so this immediately makes me think of, which is not necessarily a bad thing, makes me think of Guerlain's Aqua Allegoria Herba Fresca. But with extra pepperiness and this anisic quality that I guess is coming from the fennel. But absolutely, and yes, the pepperiness coming through. So that's okay. So that's where the parallel thing is coming. It's Herba Fresca, but it's also Ulrich Lang's Apsu, which was also peppery green, and this is lying somewhere in the middle. I guess not especially citrusy. If anything, it's kind of fennelly, minty, but extremely natural smelling. Very, very sort of photorealistically green. It does actually make you want to start cooking in a good way. This is it's very, very bracing, very refreshing. Feels just like Herba Fresca, like the sort of thing that would cut through the heat very effectively. But also somehow quite charming. It's got it's got a suggestion of the poignancy of Olivia Jacobetti's work on En Passant for Frederick Mal. Good start, good start. Anyway, mustn't dwell on it too long because we want to move on, right? So what color should we do next? So we've got a Tonka, a Vetiver, a Musc, and an Iris. So if the Musc and the Vetiver and the Tonka are going to be heavier, maybe we should do the Iris. Rachel says, charming, perfect word for Iris de Gris too. Natasha says they are good when not yet fully grown. Oh, hang on, what are we talking about? Oh, fresh peas. Okay, right. And I think the iris is the pea, right? So this is a sweet little wannabe pea with its iris, flesh, and bergamot panache. Musks and vibrant woods give shape to the story. Why do I get the feeling that this has been translated from Francais? Anyway, so L'Artisan does a P note and Kouros does a P note, says Ramsey. Oh, I see what you did there. Very, very good. Anyway, let's smell this one. That's filled the room. That first one, the Cedrat, has really, really filled the space. So let's see if this one can compete. Okay, this is Quentin Biche as well. doing something called Iris de Gris. Dangerous name, dangerous name. You're playing with fire with a name like that. Anyway, let us smell. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh my goodness, that's really fascinating, because it's like Chanel number 19 emerging out of a pea pod. And I'm kind of thinking, why did we never know we needed this? we needed Chanel number 19 to be in the fresh produce aisle at Sainsbury's. Wow, that is really, really intriguing. Because galbanum, as many of you will know, has got a kind of pea. It's very, very strongly smells of fresh peas, right? And yet, what's interesting here is that I suppose it's been sweetened somehow. Maybe it's the bergamot that's making it more palatable and more refreshing, rather than, oh, Yura says, I'm waiting for the potato one. That would be interesting. And then the iris does come through very, very strongly, but very, very delicately. On the strength of these two, I want to ask Quentin Biche if he has got a thing for some of Olivia Jacobetti's work, because this is making me think of how she treated iris in Iris for Hermès. Thoroughly intriguing. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to wear this one properly, because it is the woodiness of the iris comes through. They're almost like, well, so far these two, and I wonder if the rest are going to be the same. They're almost like different characters in this house. How many of you out there have watched the Disney film Encanto? Highly recommend it. Really, really good CG animation. I can't remember if it was a Pixar. I think it may have been Pixar. And one of the strengths of that movie is that it features very, very distinct characters, very distinct personalities in this magical house. And you could somehow imagine these two so far anyway being different characters. So the Cedrat is the charming but maybe slightly cheeky young teenage boy who somehow manages to get away with causing a lot of trouble just on the strength of his charm. Woozy says, haven't seen it, but that song has definitely been overplayed. Yeah, see, I haven't heard it being overplayed because I've only watched the film once, but it's very good. And the Iris de Gris is maybe the supremely welcoming, comfortable in her own skin matriarch figure who greets everybody with tremendous hospitality. Right, we need to carry on. Do we think it's going to be a case of 2 out of 5, which would be fine? I would be very, very happy if only 2 of these are really, really strong. Ooh. Now I'm thinking we should do the Vetiver next, because the Vetiver may have a freshness to it, whereas the musk, I suppose, wouldn't. So what does the Vetiver say? A tomato leaf. Okay. Tomato leaf vetiver, crumpled between fingers with the fresh zing of grapefruit on a vetiver base. Okay, so we all know, if you watch this video, we all know that there is a very, very, very distinct link between grapefruit and vetiver. Not the first fragrance to make that link. And Ecarlate, somebody help me out. That means scarlet, doesn't it? So if it's scarlet vetiver, maybe that's the link with the tomato. And Gavin is mentioning that the L'Artisan Parfumeur site actually suggests layering some of these. Of course they do, because they want you to buy more of their stuff. But let's see what this one's like. Chang says, I don't like the P one. Well, never mind. Right, let's see what this is going to be like. So this is Vetiver Ecarlate. Somebody help me out with the meaning of that. Okay, Nick says, yes, Ecarlate does mean scarlet, as in the color. Oh my God. Well, top marks so far for really being surprising, the 3 of them. That's so weird. It's weird because the tomato leaf, the sweetness of the leaf is almost heading into like sort of hemp territory. Wow. And yeah, totally grapefruit coming through now. They are so finely tuned, at least in their openings, so photoreal and so legible. Um, and somehow the greenness of the tomato leaf is married up to a kind of sweetness of tomato, that, the fruit, the flesh. And you can start getting the leathery rootiness of the vetiver coming through. But yes, it does weirdly turn it into a red vetiver. There's something beetrooty about it as well. It makes me think of the Comme des Garçons beetroot scent, which was called Red, wasn't it? So there, that was Red. So which character would this be? This is, I think this is the, I think this is the sort of sparky organizer of the household, the person who's always running around like a headless chicken, but somehow manages to not be stressed while doing it, and is sorting everybody out, and is making sure that the shopping's in for dinner, and that the oven's been turned on so that the cooking can all go according to plan. It's very, very, very energetic, but so far all three of them are also really, really happy, really smiley, optimistic, life-affirming sense, which is, I guess, appropriate if they're meant to be directly inspired by the fruits of the earth. Holly says, I find tomato leaf to be a distinctly Lynn Harris note. I'll have to give this one a sniff and compare. I rate Quintet Biche extremely highly, but I'm just not quite tuning in with these, says Jonathan Scents and Smells. Well, that's fair enough, but I'm finding these really, really intriguing so far. In a very good way. This one already feels like it's going to go down a kind of strong vetiver route very quickly, which most vetiver scents do. Okay, let's go to the one by Alexandra Carlin, the one which supposedly features, is the first instance of a perfume that features a natural vegetable extract. Tonka Blanc, so white tonka. And this says, a cauliflower in disguise, accompanied by the freshness of mandarin and powdery tonka bean. Okay, now tonka, this may have to go on, well, they will all have to go on skin eventually, but tonka on paper can be a little bit problematic. And also I've been smelling three very, very distinct characters here. So the others are naturally going to have to fight harder to compete. So this is the tonka. Am I going to get cauliflower? I do quite like cauliflower. I'm a fan of cauliflower. I love eating cauliflower raw with just a little bit of salt on it. Okay, that's the other three were quite instantly kind of shocking. This one sort of draws you in. Is a bit it's quite weird though. It is quite weird. Because there's a definite muskiness to it. It's quite kind of plush and pillowy and velvety. So maybe this is who would this be? This is the most kind of seductively lazy member of the household. The person that if you will be staying up till the small hours and will have really, really interesting, slightly naughty conversation. But I can't say. Thank you very much, Smoke C. That's very, very kind. That doesn't happen very often. It still takes me by surprise when that thing flashes. The rake of the house, says Rachel. Yeah, but a really, really laid back rake. Try saying that quickly. I'm not, I wouldn't. I'm not going to lie to you. If somebody had just sort of wafted this under my nose, I wouldn't immediately have said cauliflower, but maybe it comes out more prominently on skin. But there is a kind of curious earthy vegetalness to it, and the sweetness of the tonka is coming through. So okay, this one feels more toned down. The other three were much brighter, sharper, but it still has that smiley quality to it, that happy quality. And let's look at the musk. So this is also by Quintet Biche. And what's the little write-up of this one, the little blurb? A surprising duo of musk and beetroot. Well, we were going to have beetroot, weren't we? Contrasted by zesty bergamot. So what's this going to be like in comparison with the Comme des Garçons from 2 years ago, last year, can't even remember. Gavin says that sounds like it needs some spice added, the Tonka one. Maybe, or but then I guess that's the idea. Maybe they needed one in the range that would be a little bit more chilled, I think, as the younguns would say nowadays. So this is Musc Amarante. What color is that then? I'm not sure. I need to check my translations. So with beetroot, maybe this is going to be earthier, more metallic. Let us find out. Okay, the Content ones of each. Oh gosh, I have just been presented with a bowl of good, proper sour cream filled Polish barszcz beetroot soup. This is so fascinating, really, really fascinating. I looked them up online just before we went live on air, and they're not cheap. And there's a bit of me that's now thinking, oh my goodness, I think I'd love to have at least 3 of these in my collection. So I don't, because I think for 100 mils, they are well over £100, which is not cheap. So yes, it's got the pepperiness of the beetroot, the earthy quality, that kind of slightly rooty, carroty quality that beetroot has as well. The redness and sourness of beetroot juice, whereas the Comme des Garçons, I think, made me think more of beetroot itself, the vegetable. This is making me think of bright red beetroot juice. £150 for 100 ml, says Gavin. Yeah, that is not cheap. That is not cheap. But really fascinating because the citrus comes through there. What was the other thing that they said? Beetroot and, oh, musk. Okay, so who would this be? Who would this be in this household? Let's populate the household with. I think what I'm getting here is a kind of intellectual, ironic quality, a sort of studiedly ironic quality. So this is I don't know if it's male or female. At the moment, I'm picturing a woman in my head, but I don't think it has to be a woman who is in her early 20s and is at university and is studying something like philosophy or history of art or something like that. And so she spends a lot of her time indulging in lots and lots of intellectual and pseudo-intellectual conversations, but she does it with a spark in her eye and a very, very definite sense of wit and irony. There's a sparkiness here, but it's very, very, very endearing. Wow. Oh, and now I'm getting like a suggestion of Vicks Vapo Rub as well, something quite sort of mentholated and eucalyptusy and camphoraceous. I am really, really, really fascinated by all 5 of these. Right, let's have another smell. Let's somehow try and clear the nostrils and do them in slightly different order. Right, let's go with the musk. Sorry, the Tonka, seeing as that's turned out to be, in a way, the quietest. Yeah, it's probably the most familiar one, the Tonka Blanc. Very, very musky. I'm thinking now as well of that kind of slightly orange blossomy feel of Divin Enfant from État Libre d'Orange. Very, very attractive, very, very approachably pleasant. Then let's try the musk. Oh no, we've just done that one, haven't we? Let's go back to the first one that we smelled. Ah, that's the green one. That's gone. It's almost gone like celery now, like celery soup with lots of with some kind of herb spice mix in there as well. Still really, really super green. These are so intriguing. The Vetiver, what's the Vetiver doing? Okay, the Vetiver is becoming more Vetiver-like, peppery at the top, maybe almost like a little bit cedary, iso-y, super sort of pencil shavings in Vetiver. So that seems to be becoming more instantly, or more rapidly, I should say, predictable in the manner of the Tonka. And what have we got? The iris. Where's my iris blotter? Let's not drop it. Okay, the iris is again more overtly iris-like now, but that P note is still there. Just fascinating. And then finally back to the musk. I think that's the one I may have to wear tonight. Perhaps I ought to just get some more samples and stock up on these samples. Okay. Well done, L'Artisan. Well done, Quentin Biche and Alexandra Carlin. At least, at least as far as intriguing us is concerned. I think you need to check these out, and I will be smelling the development of the blotters with great curiosity. So do watch for the video description below when I update it, probably in the next 24 hours or so, because I will be posting a blotter update on these. But for now, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for bearing with me on this sort of slightly longer video. And I think we can safely say that Love at First Scent is back. We will try to do as many videos as possible before the next kind of work-imposed break, which will probably be round about June. But I will not be going on a complete break in June. I'll try to do a few videos here and there. But regular viewers will know that round about June things start hotting up as far as the day job is concerned, and I don't have as much free time to myself. But never mind, that's still a good month away. Thanks very much for tuning in. Please do send any questions or comments my way. I try to get around to all of them in due course. And I will see you again either tomorrow or on Sunday. So stay tuned to social media for details of the next live streams. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.